Hey, folks, what's up? I am so glad to be here tonight. So glad to be with you. Turn my light up a little bit to make sure y'all can see me. Um, so good to be here with you guys tonight. Hope that you've had a good day. Hope that you're able to join the live stream this morning. Uh, Surprise, I got to preach this morning. So that was a great time. Um, Good Sunday morning, I think. And, I was really blessed by worship. I know that sounds arrogant for me to say that I was blessed by my own preaching. But hey, a lot of times God speaks to me just as much in preparing for stuff as he does to other people. So I was really glad to be a part of that, and just a part of what God is doing in general, because God is so good. And it really is an incredible thing that in the middle of these really just poor circumstances with this quarantine and everything else that's going on, God has been doing an incredible thing, getting the gospel out through technology to people that may have never seen it in the first place. And so I think that God, in spite of the bad things that are going on right now, is really up to some good stuff as well. And so I'm just so grateful for that. I don't want to. I kind of want to flip the order on things tonight and just go ahead and jump straight in to a little bit of Bible this evening. Um, I'm wrestling with this question of what we should do when we're lonely, because I think that we're really bound to get pretty lonely during this whole quarantine, during this whole shut in time, because just being frank, you can't go out and you can't do things like you're used to. You guys aren't at school right now. You're not hanging out with the people that you're used to hanging out with on a daily basis. I can't believe how many people are telling me, I wish I could go to school. Like, who would have thought that, we would all be saying that, even a month ago. Things have changed so quickly. But a lot of people I think that right now we're just lonely. It kind of stinks being, shut up by ourselves. And some of us may still be moving around and getting to hang out with people, and that's all good and fine. But whether, it's happening right now because of this quarantine thing, or whether it's going to happen in the future, at some point, we're all going to deal with loneliness. I can see you, Nate. I miss you too. I hope that you're doing well, man. But yeah, we're all going to deal with loneliness. And I should say too that I miss anybody else that may tune in now or later. I love you. You're great. I miss y'all so much. I really do miss y'all. It'll be so nice when we finally get back together again and actually be in the same room with each other. I'm so looking forward to that. But until then, we're going to make the best of what we got. So anyhow, it is now I've lost my whole train of thought. We're talking about loneliness though. In the meantime, we might get lonely, and even if it's not caused by the quarantine, loneliness is something that everybody's going to deal with at some point or another. We'll experience feeling like we're alone, whether that's because we actually are alone, we can't see our friends, maybe because of a situation like the one that we're in, or maybe we'll feel that way because somebody stabbed us in the back. Somebody that we thought was our friend turned out to not be our friend. People that we thought we could count on turned around and left us. That's a really hurtful situation to go through. I've been thinking about this passage over in Second Timothy, and the letters to Timothy are really cool letters because Paul is just lost it on Instagram. Telemarketers trying to call me, so they're evidently not very lonely because they keep calling people. But anyways, so talking about loneliness. Sorry for that interruption there. I was talking about Paul's letters to Timothy because, and I like those letters because it's like a mentor writing to a mentee. Paul is this older, seasoned missionary, and Timothy is this young guy, this up and coming sort of leader in the church, somebody that Paul took under his wing and has been mentoring directly. So it's a cool. These are cool letters to read and to study, and I think it's especially cool for middle school and high school students. Because when Paul and Timothy met, and Paul sort of took Timothy under his wing and started teaching him to do ministry, Timothy was very likely a teenager. He was a young guy, and so I just think there's so much good stuff there that all of us can really learn from, and it's a good conversation to sort of listen in on to see what Paul has to say to Timothy. And so Second Timothy in particular is Paul's last letter. At this point, Paul is in prison. He's going to be executed soon. He probably knows that. And so this letter is sort of like, in some ways, sort of the last words that we have from Paul. And, lest we think that he's in prison sort of like our prisons. This isn't like a prison where there's a bed and, you get fed every day and all this sort of thing. Like, no, he's like in a pit chained to a wall at like a dark, damp, nasty place. Like it's not a good situation at all. That's where Paul is when he writes 2 Timothy. I tend to think that he was lonely. In fact, I know that he was lonely because in his letter, he says that people are deserting him. People are leaving him just left and right. And so it's just a bad situation. But listen to what he has to say. This is 2 Timothy 4:16-18. He says, "At my first defense, no one stood by me, but everyone deserted me. May it not be counted against them. But the Lord stood with me and strengthened me so that I might fully preach the word and all the Gentiles might hear it. So I was rescued from the lion's mouth. The Lord will rescue me from every evil work and will bring me safely into his heavenly kingdom. To him be the glory forever and ever. Amen." That's a good word right there. That's a good word. If you listen to what he's saying, Paul is talking about his trial. He's going on trial specifically for his missionary work, specifically for his stand for Jesus. That's what he's on trial for. And he is literally on trial for his life. And as he's going to trial, as he's having to defend what he's doing, everyone deserts him. Everybody leaves him alone. All the people that have been following him up to that point left him. Yes, I think that Paul probably felt lonely. I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys what it feels like to be stabbed in the back because we've all been there. We've all had somebody that we thought was our friend, that we thought was on our side, come out and stab us directly in the back and leave us. And it's a hurtful thing. I know y'all have been there. That's Paul. That's what he's going through in the moment. But in spite of all of that loneliness, Paul says that the Lord stood by me. And even in the face of certain death, Paul was confident that God would deliver him because whether he lived or died didn't matter. He had a God that could raise the dead. And so Paul was confident even in his loneliest, even in his absolute worst times, because he knew that if all the people in the world left him, God never would. The one person that you've got in your life that will never leave you is God. People will leave you. They will stab you right in the back. But God won't do that. And so don't give up on the one person who will never give up on you. Cling to the person, cling to God, because he will be there when you need him the most. He's not going to leave you. Right now, when we're in the middle of this quarantine, when a lot of you guys don't have school, a lot of you are probably at home a lot more than you're used to being at home, you need to try to stay connected. You need to try to stay connected with your friends. You need to be hanging out with your family. Come to these live streams. Be a part of what you can be a part of. Get the interaction that you can. But you need to also be thinking about your relationship with God in this time, because there might be some days where you don't have anybody else other than God. And so don't neglect your relationship with God and then get caught in a spot where you don't have anybody else to depend on and you don't have a relationship with God that you can lean on. Take this extra time that you have right now and use it to your advantage to cultivate a strong relationship with your God. And it's not complicated. Like, we don't have to make spending time with the Lord the super complicated, mystical thing. Like, it's a really, really simple thing. It's getting in a quiet place. It's getting rid of distractions, and it's keeping your mind as best you can focused on God, thinking about God, praying to God, reading his word, and diving in. If you want to play worship music, play worship music. Do what you have to do to get your mind focused on God for a part of the day. Not necessarily a right or a wrong way to do it, just as long as you're finding some way to get focused on God. The other day, I was at home and I was I was trying to spend my own time with God, and so I'd opened up my Bible and I read some stuff and I'd prayed, and I'm just gonna be honest, it was kind of just a half-hearted prayer. I was kind of just going through the motions a little bit. It wasn't anything super exciting or profound or anything like that. And just providentially, when I got done praying, uh, somebody shared this video with me, that I looked up, and it was some guy singing a hymn is all that it was. It wasn't anything super fancy. It wasn't even a hymn that I like, if I'm just going to be honest with you. But there was something about hearing this guy sing that just grabbed my imagination for a minute. And as soon as it was over, I put my phone away and I got back down and I prayed again. And I realized just that in a lot of ways, even though I was going through the motions, my heart wasn't in it. And just for the next, it wasn't an extremely long time, but for the next just 10 minutes, God just dealt with me for a second. Like I was just crying out to him and praying to him, and I could just feel his presence in the room. And that's what I mean. It has taken that time to actually stay focused on God, to actually have your mind on God, not to be sort of half-hearted, have your mind here, have your mind there, but to get on your knees and to pray until you know that you've spent time with him. Sometimes it takes a while for me to get myself focused, but if I'll make the time to do it, I'm always glad that I did. It'll make a big difference for you. And sometimes like this, God might be all you have. And so don't neglect to give him the time of day. To help you guys do that, I thought that it'd be cool if I could share some resources with you that I thought might help you get to know God a little bit better. There's a few things that I think are really great for middle schoolers and high schoolers, things that have blessed my own life, that might help you spend time with God. If you go online, if you go over to YouTube and look up Clayton King Ministries, for example, Clayton King's been doing youth ministry and youth rallies forever. He has a whole team around him, and all of those speakers are great. So if you're looking for like something like preaching or something like that, Clayton King is awesome. He knows how to communicate with students, and you would really be blessed by going over and checking that out. Another resource that I absolutely love, and y'all know that I absolutely love it, is the Bible Project. The Bible Project is awesome. The Bible Project is so good because they take, like, what they're doing is actually cutting edge, like biblical scholarship, but you wouldn't know it because they explain it so well that you could show it to a little kid and they would get it. Like, the animated videos are just incredible. And so if you're looking for like books, if you're looking for videos like explain books of the Bible or major like themes or ideas or words in the Bible that maybe you don't understand very well, check out the Bible Project. They are absolutely awesome. You can find them online. If you like podcasts, there's a Bible Project podcast. There's a lot of great preachers out there that you could look up. And Pastor Summers has actually just started a podcast called Soul Food, and I would definitely encourage y'all to check that out. We're going to put his sermons up on there, but he's also given like a 5-minute devotion every week on Wednesday. And so we put up the very first one last Wednesday. We'll have another one coming out this Wednesday morning. Those are going to be really, really great. You definitely should check out Soul Food if you're into podcasts. I know that a lot of folks don't like to read, but I will tell you that there's a lot of great books, and if you'll make the time, they will certainly bless you. A book that both I would recommend and Pastor wants me to recommend to y'all is Not a Fan by Kyle Idleman. That book is all about what it means to be a devoted follower of Jesus and not just a casual fan of Jesus. Not a Fan is an awesome book. There's another book that I like, a book called Who Made God? And answers to over 100 other tough questions. It's like a book of just questions about God, like who made God? Where did God come from? Why does God do this? All this sort of stuff. And you have all these people coming in and answering those questions. So if you kind of have a mind where you have a lot of different questions about God, you got things that you don't necessarily understand. That's a really great book that you should check out. If you like reading stories, The Pilgrim's Progress is a super easy book to read. It's not very long, it's very simple to read. that will definitely bless you. That book is just a story about what it means to live a Christian life. Super good. You should definitely check that one out as well. Those are sort of the resources that I would encourage you to check out. I have all of those listed and written down. I can send you links to the websites. Most of the books I own, I wouldn't mind lending them to you if you want to check them out sometime. And so, like, if you need something to read, if you need something to watch, something like that during this time to sort of grow in your walk with the Lord, reach out to me, message me on Instagram. I would be more than happy to give you some of these things because I want you to take this time and be productive with it. Don't let this time be wasted. Use this time to grow closer to the Lord, and He will honor your efforts in that. So if you want any of those resources, reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to share them. And if you've got some resources that have really blessed you, if you've got a devotional, or if there's a preacher, somebody that you really like to listen to, books, websites, anything, YouTube channels, a lot of great YouTube channels, send me a message or throw it up in the comments right now. And I would love to share those with other people. I'd love to look into some and discover some new things myself, because I'm always trying to learn and always trying to grow in my own walk as well. So that was, I just started kind of rambling there for a second, but hey, this is really important. Cultivate your walk with God. A good relationship with God, becoming a person of faith, becoming a man or a woman of God, that does not happen on accident. It takes a purposeful effort to do it. So, hey, we got somebody that just commented. John Gray is one of my personal favorites. Love his messages. John Gray, I've heard that name, but I have not looked into him before. But Stefan, since you're mentioning John Gray, I want to have to check that out and see what he's all about. Is he on YouTube? Stefan, just throw it up in the comments again. Is he on YouTube? Going to wait for him to say something, and we'll see if he is. But yeah, so John Gray is another good one. I'm trying to think of some other good preachers that are out there that I listen to. If you do like the Bible Project, if you check them out, there was a podcast. Most of the stuff's on YouTube as well. But if you look up Tim Mackie is the guy that leads the Bible Project. He was a pastor for a time. He gave a lot of sermons, and I really like his sermons. So he's really good. You could definitely check him out. Pastor of Relentless. So John Gray is pastor of Relentless Church. 25 out of 10. I'm not sure that I'm understanding that right, but anyways, yes, 25 to recommend, and yes, he's on YouTube. So John Gray, you heard it from Stefan. Somebody that you might want to go look into and check out. So, but anyways, well, guys, I'm so glad that you joined me this evening. Unless you guys have any other questions or comments, I think we can wrap it up at that. And by the way, we put up a story a little bit ago. I forgot to mention this. We put up a story a little bit ago. We're going to keep doing these live streams as long as we've got, some people tuning in and checking things out. I want to keep doing these. But I want to know what you guys want to hear about. Like, what are you struggling with? What's God saying to you? What kind of questions do you need answered? Is there something that you want to know about? Anything like that. We're going to keep doing these. I want to try to speak some good biblical truth into your life. If there's something that you want us to talk about, go check out our story, answer the question, and I just might be able to talk about it sometime soon. I'd really love to be able to do that. And most of you guys, y'all know how to reach me. So, message me here on Instagram, text me, do what you got to do. I want to be speaking to y'all and trying to help y'all out. So, hey, somebody just asked, do you have any idea of when we will be back in church? At the moment, we don't really know. Just to be blunt with you. The news cycle is changing so fast. It's really hard to keep up with and really hard to say at the moment. I think that we are, based on, the executive order that just went out, we're going to have a shelter in place until I think it was like April 30th or something like that. And so it will be probably at least May until we meet again. But we're going to get together as soon as we possibly can. I know that I've heard some leaders that are optimistic that by June things will kind of go, kind of back to normal. And we're certainly praying for that. as soon as we can, we're going to get together. I do promise y'all that we will do that. I miss you all dearly. And I hope that y'all know that I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You guys make my day. I'm really proud to be your youth pastor. And I miss y'all. So I hope that we get to get together sooner rather than later. But anyways, well, guys, hey, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Feel free to go back in this and listen to the resources that I mentioned. If you want me to send you a list of them, or if you want to borrow one, I'd be more than happy to share it with you. That's all that I've got for the night. I hope that y'all are doing well. I love y'all, and y'all take care.